Whoa, we are back for some Bleach Soul Resonance, and we are going to be taking a look at hot takes, opinions, just anything people want to list off on BSR. The Stern Ritter conundrum with Bambi at his delay happened yesterday, and as of recording this, we are just going to be taking a look at everyone's collected feelings. Now, let me just say, I just want to put this out there because I feel like we're going to get some wires crossed if you don't understand my intention or my opinion on BSR. Firstly, this game is not going to suddenly EOS next month. It's not going to suddenly EOS the month after that. It's not going to suddenly EOS the month after that. From what we know, from what has been told to us by the developers, even if Jade costs plummet, even if it starts costing $1 billion to get packs, they have purchased the license for at least 2 years. So we are approaching 1 year, and we're going to approach another year after that. Regardless of anything that happens right now, there are plenty of games of the ilk of Bleach Soul Resonance that are doing much worse, and they've been around for a decade. So will they make changes that way? Will they go this other way? Maybe, but ultimately they have paid to use this IP, which means they're going to use it until that contract runs out, based on what we know. So any talks of EOS, I'm gonna laugh a little bit. When people say EOS, it is just a bit funny. Do not take EOS as a comment particularly seriously. It really is just yaps. It's just, you know, you go on NBA Twitter, they say LeBron's the worst player of all time, the worst player you've ever seen, and you go haha, because obviously he's not. So I will just say that as much as I am frustrated with all that's happened in the last few days, I mean, you know, I suddenly have to come up with random things to do. You know, I don't really cover other games consistently. You know, a lot of these other channels that are a little bigger than mine, or, you know, quite a bit bigger than mine, they're more established. They got like multiple games they might be playing, so on and so forth. I'm over here in BSR. This is what people want to see from me. So when they do stuff like this, I gotta go, oh my god, what am I gonna talk about for possibly a week? So we'll see. But yeah, just know any EOS talk, not realistic. I'm not gonna belabor this point. So yeah, let's get to the actual comments. And here I've got my head moved on over and flipped so I can look at the Quincy, or the, you know, responses without blocking it out. But let's scroll down a little bit, and we have our first here. We have 43 comments. I will try to get through as many of these as possible, so long as if it doesn't go too long. I assume some of these will be answered in other questions. It is just the case that a lot of times when it comes to hot takes for, you know, when it comes to hot takes for mobile games, they do start to like pile up as being sort of the same thing. So let's check it out here. We got Silly A Main. I started the game this summer since I had school before, and it's been really great. It's generally the most free-to-play gacha I've ever experienced. You can tell that the developers are doing their best to try to make the game better, but it has some setbacks. I do like the fact that it's not a grind the whole day type game. Yeah, I will say, you know, just cut off for a second. I've seen people, you know, everyone's of like a few minds with this. It's like, oh, they don't want you to play the game like a job, so that means they're not putting any content in the game, or just repeat content or whatever. It's like, I've talked to quite a bit about how that is my expectation for at least the first year of any mobile game I play, unless it is a catch-up gacha, which is to say that it was released in China, it was released in Korea, it was released in Japan, and has only recently gotten a global version. You know what I mean? So it doesn't surprise me that this is the pacing that we're getting. And I said when the game was like 2 months old, I don't expect anything huge until anniversary, because that's just how mobile games have been to me. I can understand frustration. I can understand people's want to play more, but here's what it is. But otherwise, pretty positive one so far. It makes it more fun and makes you excited for the next day. However, it's kind of annoying to wait at the same time. Also, since the TYBW collaboration started, I've seen little to no advertising nor barely any news. And the most of the news are leaks or from the agent side and nothing on the global side. But I'm still enjoying the game and the fact that the developers care about their game and the players too. Yeah, I think, you know, we can all be a bit cynical sometimes. I do think this is like a pretty fair and balanced, like, one to start off with. I haven't pre-read any of these, by the way, so like all of these are going to be coming to me as natural as possible. But yeah, I mean, we can all be a little bit cynical sometimes. I think it's easy to be like, okay, EOS, cash grab, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, imagine throwing cash grab out against BSR specifically. How? Like, I could open Dokkan right now, and I've said this before. I could spend $100 in Dokkan for like a 10 pull, maybe a 15 pull or something like that. Like, literally just or is it 20 pull? Just a piddly amount, like genuinely a piddly fucking amount I could go spend on Dokkan right now. As a Japanese gacha that is working closely with Bandai and Shueisha, I could go in Toei, I could go spend an exorbitant amount of money for dog shit. But still, you'll see people call BSR a cash grab, which is just, I don't know, it's just very funny because it's just like, there are better ways to make cash if you're using an IP gacha. Trust me, I've played a lot of IP gacha. I can sniff out when there's bullshit. We have setbacks on BSR, but if you're being like fair at all, this is not the same. There are definitely some highlights, like, the marketing that are just so bad, but let's move on so we don't stick on one too long. I play every day. Honestly, can't complain. It's one of the best mobile games I've played. In my first gacha game, long time Bleach fan. I'd like to see more creative game modes. I know Adventure is good, just not very expansive. It's true. And this is going to be another thing, right? Is just like, I actually want to touch on this a little bit closer. So, this is going to be another thing is the experience that like sort of the global Bleach Soul Resonance Discord has, or Bleach Soul Resonance Twitter has, is usually not also the experience of the wider audience. A lot of times you can see this all the time. In Dokkan, you could be forgiven for thinking that the people who bait tweet, the people who attention grab, the people who are always adding to truth or adding Minato or something, like, you would be excused for thinking that's how the wider player base feels. But the reality is, the majority of people that play Bleach Soul Resonance, the majority of people that play games like this, that play Dokkan Battle, that play Dragon Ball Legends, aren't interfacing directly with any of us, really, outside of maybe like YouTube videos. They're watching me, Giku, Aaron, Kaku, whoever is making videos on the game. Shout out anyone I may have not listed. They're just watching them, and then they play their game, and then they maybe talk to their friends about it, but they're not interested in having big conversations. Until I made this YouTube channel with Dokkan Battle, I wasn't really chatting about the games I loved. I played 5 years of Epic 7. I don't think I ever talked about Epic 7 to an Epic 7 Discord or an Epic 7 forum or an Epic 7 Twitter. Like, I never did it. This is the only time I've ever done this. My name Loner is not a joke. Like, I just did my thing. So it is kind of interesting. Like, that's an interesting thing, is that someone who is just like, I just wish there was like more about the game modes, but they don't really have anything to say about the delays, for example, right? So it's just interesting. Because you got to remember, not really a previous comment that went, hey, be nice to the devs. They just said, oh, this is just how I'm feeling, right? So we'll go again. Might be controversial, but I think the game lacks variety. Sure. They need to be doing a lot more reruns than they are currently doing, or at least release SR Plus versions of older characters like Rangiku or whoever to compensate for more support, because I don't see Inui being an SSR unit. Inui is Orihime's other name, right? I believe so. Sorry. I really just know these characters by like Hitsugaya, Orihime, etc., etc. I'm not used to them calling them that. I believe, by the way, she will be an SSR unit literally after TYBW. And in the TYBW collab, it should have been more content than just Bambi and Candace on the Quincy side. Like, again, releasing an SR Plus version of someone like you. Okay. By the way, I think that's going to happen. Which is the funniest part. I mean, I get their preempting sort of their frustrations, but I believe that is what's coming out. If it's a licensing issue, then they could at least communicate to the players. That is the biggest thing, man. I've said time and time again that every issue they're having right now, other mobile games have had. I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, Shueisha has just got their thumb pressing down on the BSR dev's neck and they can't do anything. I don't think communication is limited by Shueisha. That wouldn't really make sense. If they was limited by Shueisha, they wouldn't sneak diss Shueisha all the time. Because they do be sneak dissing them. Demon King, all that stuff, they be sneak dissing. So I don't really think that's a reasonable response in this case. Their communication is pretty poor. Transparency can create understanding, but lack of communication creates mistrust. Yeah, 100% fair, and no motivation to play. 100% fair. I think that's really fair. Again, when you see like posts like this, and then you check like the Bleach Soul Resonance Discord, we're all just kind of joking around. We're trolling. We're just saying whatever. You know, we're saying EOS. We're saying, you know, I've been saying recently that I told them to delay the game so that I could play Tokon. You know, a lot of people can get mixed messages. Even though I think most times I think people would describe me as a Bleach Soul Resonance glazer. And it's mostly because I don't really have like flagrant reactions to the things they do, because I think that the things they do tend to fall in line with other mobile games. I don't think a lot of the stuff they do is so unique to them. I just think it's like, yeah, IP mobile games have problems. They always do, sadly. And you can't really fix all of them by complaining. You can fix some of them, but you can't fix all of them. So a lot of times I'll just take the piss, like, it is what it is. Oh, pretty fair. Definitely needs a lot more promotion. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I don't really have anything to say about that other than, yeah, you're preaching to the choir, man. Overall, it's my favorite gacha game out right now. The dailies don't take too long, and I can free-to-play very easily. Plus, I think the visuals are amazing. I just wish they were better about releasing news on new units. Yeah, again, it's you'd be surprised how, like, reasonable people are when you step outside of the sort of, the bubble of social media, right? Like, because this is essentially the median, I think. I think this is a lot of how people feel about the game. Note that even with the delays, there hasn't been a big review bombing campaign. There hasn't been a big, you know, outcry on that. It's a lot of the Chinese players feel a bit left in the dark. And guess what? We feel a bit left in the dark. And what we want collectively, all of us, is just more communication, right? We just want more honesty. Overall, it's my favorite gacha game. Oh, okay, sorry, I said that. I don't think content and characters are the big thing. The 3-week banners are nice, but there needs to be more permanent or weak content. Sure. Summit Clash and Frontline are prime examples of good content they've released in the past. I agree. Do they have their own problems like Mystic Frontline? I think so, but to the people who said that Mystic Frontline was like a drag or they couldn't get the medals, I did that shit while on vacation. So I couldn't like talk to people to get like the tokens really to trade. So I do think that like so long as you were doing it pretty actively, it wasn't so bad. It would be great for those to return with each patch. I think so. I agree. For characters, I think more SR Plus and maybe even adding characters to the standard banner. 100%. They need to add SSR characters to the standard banner. I think it is... Again, I know these characters are difficult to make. We're not saying they're not, and I don't want to put anyone under the false pretense that these are easy characters to make. But Hitsugaya and Bankai Ichigo should be in the standard banner. No reason they shouldn't be. I think by first anniversary they will be, but there's no reason that Hitsugaya and Ichigo shouldn't be in the standard banner right now. They essentially serve no greater function. For characters, I think more... Yep, and transparency would be a huge help too. Like, why do only some events rerun? Why is the event schedule so inconsistent? Limited tower, issues with character release, etc. Yeah, 100%, you know? Again, like I said, you'd be surprised how reasonable people are in mass. So it's just people have frustrations, and people have reasonable frustrations. This is the reason I wanted to put this out there so people could vent. Like, I am frustrated with this aspect of the game, but guess what? A lot of people are just having fun. They just wish this thing was better, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I love this game truly. This game completely blindsided me with it being a gacha and a mobile game, which I'm not really a fan of neither. Fair. But somehow I just kept playing. The amazing graphics, the incredibly generous rewards of summoning, the summon system being guaranteed for both weapon and character pulls. The gameplay felt smooth and responsive, and lastly, the devs. In the beginning, with constant mistakes they were making with things like Rangiku delays. That was IP, by the way. I'm not saying that, like, not everything is IP, is Shueisha. Genuinely, it's not. But that Rangiku delay was IP. Kenpachi bugs, Mayuri bugs, core stamp pity, stamina, resource issues, etc. They always communicated very fair. They did communicate. They were very open about Rangiku's delay and like pretty immediately. And they said what we'd be getting, which was a full, essentially awakened Rangiku. Communicate what they were doing or they were working on. It's out of their control. Now it feels like we have less communication. True. Even on the Chinese side, I've been saying it. The biggest thing is if we could at least get translations from the Chinese side, it would feel much less, like much better, I should say. But because we're not, we're both, two communities are in the dark. Why are two communities in the dark? Now it feels like we have less communication when the game first started, which is already little, and we get 99.9% of info from leaks, which we can't even trust fully. I don't know, man. I love this game. I'm gonna be here for the long ride. I'm just more disappointed than angry. Yeah, I'm fair as hell. I was disappointed with the delays. I was disappointed with the rewards that they're handing out for it. Remember, though, I did say that one of the reasons that we're probably getting so little rewards is probably to do with how much you can give out at a time in gacha games. I don't know the direct information for a game like Bleach Soul Resonance, like how they determine that. But I do know that other IP gacha that we are aware of, Dragon Ball Legends, Dokkan Battle, of the same type of game that Bleach Soul Resonance is, under the same banner, Shueisha, Toei, etc., we do know that they stay extremely consistent in the amount they give out. If you play Dragon Ball Legends, you're gonna get like 15 to 20,000 Chrono Crystals a month, flatly. If you do everything, if you play Dokkan Battle, you're gonna get about 500, maybe 600 Dragon Stones a month if you don't spend on anything, you just do the content, I believe. That is the amount. The amount is the amount. And it doesn't matter if they put it here or there, so long as you do the content, that is the amount. So I do imagine that because this is their fault, and this is all speculation, you don't have to take my word on any of this right here. I do imagine that because it's their fault, they aren't able to ration out more. But, you know, maybe that, who knows? I think aside from marketing and just updating people from often in their official accounts, more often in their official accounts, I feel like we've been needing more challenging events that aren't just stat increases for bosses, 100%. Mystic Frontline was great, even if it needed more tweaks. I agree. You can die in there depending on the boss gimmicks. I feel like we need more events like that. 100%. I've been saying this since like month 4, that they need to shift content to being able to die. The thing it allows is that even whales could die, but whales would obviously have a better chance of strictly surviving because they're just doing more damage. Because they're doing more damage, it means they are less likely to play against all of the mechanics that a boss might has, while free-to-play players get a pure, distilled, difficult experience where they need to be hitting their dodges, but as well, maybe they can kill the boss. They can kill the boss even if they, you know, it's a boss that otherwise would just be a stat check, right? 99999 stat check. So I agree. I really enjoy the game. I agree it needs more but better content. Not more but better content. Yes, 100%. The gacha system is incredible. I love that as a low spender and even free to play can get every character is amazing. True. The lack of communication is where they need the most work. 100%. Things that are obvious but overlooked, like the web store in the US being down since February. What? That's crazy because, again, if someone wants to say, oh, I'm a spender because I buy the monthly, even though I'm like, I polled my channel, by the way, like really early on. I polled my channel. It was an 80-20 split. I remember it. And they were like, yeah, go ahead and get the monthly. That way you can continue to put out B0 impressions of characters and, you know, speak for essentially the free-to-plays. Like, I don't interact with the web store. I don't interact with packs. I just get the monthly and then I'm done. And then I've shown people you get 300 paid Jade from doing the monthly. I show people what I do. I take the lowest value possible one and I spend it so that there isn't me like stacking up paid Jade or anything like that over the month. So it is crazy that the web store has been down. Having a revenue source not even get an update is just insane. I have fun playing with every character and the animations are amazing, with the lack of support characters at this point is crazy. True. I don't want to choose between ranking higher by optimizing what team to use with what support. Feels like breaking down spreadsheets versus having fun. Fair enough. Overall, I have never played a gacha so long. I started just a few days after Toshio dropped, and I've only missed logging in maybe 2 total days. Fair. I think the whole Shueisha issue is stupid, but unavoidable. Again, true. Overall, has great bones on a team that clearly loves Bleach, just needs refinement. Yeah. Again, I think that, we've talked about Gekishin Squadron before. especially in the Discord. I don't know what Gekushin Squadra exists for. I don't know why that game exists. As a Dragon Ball, I am more of a Dragon Ball fan than I am a Bleach fan, than I am a Naruto fan, than I am a One Piece fan, than I am a, I don't know, you know, everything. Every of the main big shonen, the biggest shonen, right? And I don't know who Gekushin Squadra was for. Like, it seemed like it seemed like a cash grab. That game had no legs. It was never interesting enough for people who actually played MOBAs, and I don't think Dragon Ball fans want to really play a MOBA if it's not also going to be an interesting MOBA like a League of Legends, like a Dota 2. So I don't know who that game was for. But the monetization, the stalled progress, the character unlocks, the paid character unlocks after they release new ones, the things like that, I'm like, if you want to talk about a cash grab, Gekushin Squadra is kind of there to milk you dry. Like, it's got you on the fucking table and it's just going crazy mode on your shit. So, one sec, I'll be right back. I have to blow my nose. So yeah, we're back, by the way. Let's go to the next one. And let's go here. Looks like we have a double feature from them. 2 of them. So keep them both sort of on screen. We'll read I'm gonna read the lower one first because it looks like this is like an so it's a fun game, but I do think the game needs a little more vision and direction. Fair. Maybe change the banner schedule to 4 weeks and add more event minigame to do. Because right now I feel like a lot of units come bugged and they have to give compensation often. Very true. If they finish a unit early, they can work on other things in the game like content or future unit or quality of life. Because right now, a lot of new characters that come out have a new model, need new scale animations. It takes a long time and causes bugs and delays that would be avoided if, in a couple of years, once they have a good roster. Yeah, it's true. A lot of it does come to making new models, I believe, which is why I always say, yeah, they can use previous models. I've talked about, like, once we're out of the big celebrations, I think we're going to get characters who are in-game. I think we're going to get Noitada. I think we're going to get Yami. I think we're going to get Orihime, SSR, etc., etc. I think we're going to get characters who do not need new modeling. At this point, they can update its schedule back to 3 weeks and maybe add more characters in 3 or 4 weeks so they can make profit. And at that point, everyone has a good roster and full teams to skip units. Yeah, it's in... Here's this here. And if they give us XSR plus of the bandies, I personally can cut them some slack. If 2IBW has recent things and they decide to go balls deep and fail to, there's a bit of bad time management, but I can see the vision. But if it's not, I still think making a new model for Candace and Bambi along with developing a new typing would be time crumped. It's not like Ichigo Yuryu where they have pre-existing models and they have to update the skills and models. Yeah. I think a lot of this is coming down to Bambi isn't ready because they pushed for her. Supposedly, I read this from a leak, but supposedly, grain of salt, they pushed for Bambi. They were going to they essentially had like access to someone else, but they pushed for Bambi. They wanted Bambi. What that probably meant is not only did they have to make Bambi, they wanted to make a bunch of SRs and SR plus characters from the Sternritter girls. So I think it just swamped them. It just swamped them. And again, the problem is not the delay, and this isn't to this person. The problem is not the delay. I want everyone to know. The problem is not the delay. The problem is the communication. If 5 days ago, before any of this, they were like, hey guys, we were working on this, but we're just not going to make that deadline. We're going to push it back a few days. Sorry. 5 days. But instead, it was the day before release. We found out on the day of release, essentially. That's not good. That's not good. And ultimately, there's no way Shueisha had any control over that. There just isn't. Like, I give Shueisha a lot of shit. I don't like Shueisha. Unless Shueisha wants to hand me a bag, then, you know, aye, Captain. Started during Aizen's OG banner, and I play pretty much every day. I'm used to not getting a lot of info, but everything usually turns out okay. Yeah, fair. This time, I'm not feeling very optimistic. I feel that. They're fumbling so hard, it's kind of insane. I also just don't feel good spending anymore. Not that I ever bought more than like $20 a month. I'm just so disappointed. They have the Bleach community in the palm of their hands, and they just keep messing up. Yeah, it's a lot of mess ups. Like I said, the thing that's so frustrating is it's just communication. I hate to just repeat my point over and over, but I feel like this would not be a problem at all if they were at least talking to the CN community, and then we get leaks or translations, and it's like, okay, this is what's going on. Everyone's okay. We understand what's going on. They couldn't make the deadline, but, you know, they told us a week in advance, so we all kind of expected that. But instead, I don't know. I really love... Where am I at? I'm right here. I really love this game, but it could be even better with a few additions, like level rewards. Level rewards would be nice. I mean, we've just run out of levels. Simple features like these would make a huge difference for players. Yeah, I feel like for the average player, right, they like to see their number go up. That's the thing in Dokkan. After like the 10 year, the 11 year or something, I think it's within this year. They added like rank 2000, so you could level up all over again. I believe that information should be improved and made more readily available to the community, and that leaks should be minimized to maintain enthusiasm. I agree. I talked about this with Giku. If you want to watch me and Giku just yap about TYBW stuff, that is on his channel. I fully agree. It's really annoying that leaks are essentially the only way we get information, like, reliably. Leakers and leaks are not bad. I want to say, if you are someone who leaks, or if you are a leaker, you tend to be some of the biggest backbone of fandom communities. It is what it is. Now, if those leaks are happening and, you know, Dragon Ball is doing is like on its P's and Q's, it's doing what it needs to get done. If Bleach is doing what it needs to get done, if you know, Naruto or Vinland Saga or Golden Kamuy or Berserk or what have you, they're doing what they need to get done, and you just sort of spoil a surprise, that sucks. But a lot of times, especially when it comes to these mobile games, that's not what's happening. What's happening is there's a huge silence from the developer, and people want leaks as essentially reveals. Like, it shouldn't be that the leaks act as reveals, but they do essentially now. BSR only lacks good marketing. Other than that, it is, in my opinion, one of the best gacha games, especially for free to play. Been a day one, and I don't think I missed a single day. So I can confidently say that it is one of the best games I've ever played. Might be cope, but I would really like to get the stream back since they were good. I have a suspicion they might return after 2IBW. If they did those on schedule to reveal the next character type and some good information, we would all appreciate it, 100%. Also would love new SSRs on standard banner, because other than Kisuke, no other character is all that useful. Yeah, especially anymore. Yoruichi used to be really good, especially if you've been playing long enough. True. I saved up 110 standard tickets because I got Kisuke B5 while being free to play, mind you. It's pretty crazy. That couldn't be me. I don't even got Kisuke B2. And I didn't waste any more of my standard tickets on the other frauds. All in all, BSR does have its problems in game, but as time goes on, they will improve themselves. I agree. And, you know, just sort of looking inside, it's just that it really is a marketing thing, but BSR does have quite a bit of time. We're coming in on the first year, and outside of this recent stretch, I would say it's been pretty uneventful. Yeah, you could say characters have been bugged, they get fixed, we get compensated pretty quickly. Fine. Yeah, you could say content's been repetitive or, you know, rerun content. And if you don't like that, you're kind of in the wrong space. Mobile games are that. I'm not saying that you have to accept that and like it. I'm just saying that if you don't like that, these games probably aren't for you, and that's also fine. Maybe you want to try a PvP mobile game where at least you could play PvP, get your ass beat by a UI Goku, Ultra UI Goku or something. But it's a lot of the problems have compounded and just like stacked on top of each other, and a lot of them do just have to do with communication. If they were more open, I feel like no one would be that mad. But like I said, like any other, they want money, that's it. I mean, you know, I don't disagree. We live in a capitalist world, a capitalist society. People want money. They want money for the things they do. No company is innocent, especially no gacha company. But I will say, as far as the gacha game goes, they seem to want the least amount of money. Oh my, dude, I'm an efficiency hound, dog. I would have been running that studio like Mr. Beast in there. I would have been like, get these motherfuckers' pockets empty. No super packs. No great monthly. These Bleach players are gonna pay. Wonderful game, free to play friendly. Only issues are marketing. True. A lot of people saying the same stuff. 1% of Bleach fans know about this game. True. If thinking about info and updates like Supercell games would be at top. Yeah, I agree. We're gonna start going through these a little faster because I do want to read a lot of people's stuff. Hopefully it's not like too much more, maybe, that we're not too far off of being done, so maybe we can chill. We'll get everything done. I wanted to read everyone's stuff because I asked people, and I want people to know I appreciate them giving their 2 cents. I really like the game so far. I've been playing since the beginning. I do think that it's unfortunate that IP law screws the game so much, of course. I also feel in terms of typings, there have been more questionable decisions like new typing too early and almost a refusal to give us limited support. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, this person is so fair. This is like a really fair list of complaints for someone who otherwise has a very positive view on the game, positive cant, a positive skew, right? So they might not understand why there's a new typing. They might not understand why there are no new supports, right? And what could help is some talking, some communication from the IP, from the developers. Because I feel like I know why there is a new typing, and I know why there are few limited supports, but the average player doesn't. And it's because they're just playing the game, which is fine. We got a big one here. I'll break down into 3 components of a good game to BSR. Design, by far the best design out of any Bleach games. Yeah, I think so. I know people would be like Rebirth of Souls. You can't get Rebirth of Souls past me, I'm sorry, because I think the Ultimate Ninja Storm games are better, and I also am a fighting game player, so I'm a fighting game player. So if you try to convince me that like a kind of sloppy arena fighter is like a well-designed fighting game, which it is because it's an arena fighter, I'm gonna have to start pushing back. So I do think, weirdly enough, this mobile game has been the best designed Bleach game we've gotten. I would say second would probably be BBS, by the way. Shout out BBS. In terms of visual clarity and sort of realizing the character's powers, Bleach Soul Resonance stands at the top. Hopefully Mirror's High can put its name in there, but longevity, obviously BBS is crushing. So I'm not gonna say, I don't want to leave BBS out. BBS is crushing. It deserves to be there. I think it deserves to be there over Rebirth of Souls, personally, because that's what you earned when you are consistent for 11 years. But I enjoyed a typical hack and slash more than fighting. Usually beautiful, visually beautiful game and comparable to the top end quality of every mobile game ever released. Yeah, I think so. Maybe if you consider like Hoyoverse just dumping money as like the top end, we could talk like Bleach Soul Resonance could be like S tier and Hoyoverse could be like SS tier. I'm not super high on over animated Hoyoverse, sort of like ZZZ. I don't know, like I know people hate that term over animated, but in the case of ZZZ, a lot of it is, so I played that game at launch, by the way. A lot of it is just sort of like quirk chungus. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little much. It doesn't really inspire the same depth or feeling as rubber hose cartoons of, you know, decades past. I think it sort of fails to have that impact for me. I don't want to make this a whole art talk. I just think that ZZZ does not, to me, fails to capture the spirit of what it's imitating, and just ends up making a bunch of characters act like they're like tweaking. Mechanics. Being a gacha game, this game fundamentally requires RNG, true, but because of the generosity, it belongs to the higher end of gacha game. I think that is true just inherently. Even if this game only goes another 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or what have you, even if it shut down tomorrow, people would talk about how good this gacha system is. People are going to be comparing Bleach Mirror's High's gacha system to this game until the end of time. Even if Bleach Mirror's High lasts 10 more years than BSR, there will always be a subsect of people who are like, this gacha system sucks, I wish it was BSR's. It's just one of the values of this game that you can't really deny. There is no denial of that fact. Like, it just is what it is if you're a free-to-play player. You enjoy every character at the baseline. I think I truly loved about this game is how high the ceiling of each character can achieve due to how each boundary, stamp set, skill and damage multiplier, crit damage, etc. made this game into almost a math problem with building a character. Yeah, I do like, I would say that Bleach Soul Resonance is enough of a math problem to be interesting, but it's not so much as to be like Uma Musume, because Uma Musume, you literally need a spreadsheet. If you do not have a spreadsheet for Uma Musume, you literally cannot play that game. Min-maxing a character makes this game very rewarding because everyone's character is the same. Yeah, not everyone's character is the same. I agree. It's one of the things I like a lot about gacha games. It's I like playing. I would never really whale in a gacha unless I was directly funding this channel or something. It's not interesting to me. I know that's kind of crazy to people, but I've always said that the interesting part of gacha is that it's kind of like a Pokemon Nuzlocke to me. My account is different from your account. That is the most interesting part of a gacha game to me personally. Each roll of substats requires you to want another kind of substat to roll. Yeah. I do like gear games. I'm E7 player. I like gear games. This is the department where I feel BSR fell short content. Because the most fun content is actually the Tell Me It training mode. Hard content, in my opinion, has only been 2, and they are not permanent. Endless Tower and Las Noches, true. Fair enough. Personally, I enjoy this 2 content the most, and being similar to you, I'm a free-to-play low spender and very happy to see myself being able to compete and rank them on the top 0.3% at low Las Noches. But the flaw of this game mode doesn't resonate with the current player base. The base has a habit of maxing a fave character or maintaining one, while the 2 hard game mode rewards balance. They might need to introduce another hard content that is similar to Las Noches, but rewards a single team that won't be affected by RNG variable, like Unknown Adventure. Or not like Unknown Adventure. At the moment, single team character are only at a superficial leaderboard that doesn't hold any meaningful value. Yeah, I'm gonna turn my heater off, by the way. A little chilly, a little warm in here, a little less chilly. Yeah, I think the content, they have an identity issue. They don't know where they want to go, I think. And the reason they don't want to commit, I think, is also because the game is not in its first year. One of the values of just logging on and getting your dailies done in a gacha game is if you stop, you can stockpile for when the game gets more interesting to you. This is the best time to be playing any mobile game, is the first, like, year. Because even though it's probably the worst version of the game usually, it's also going to make your account so much better if you continue to play onwards into the future. I wish the first day I ever opened up Dokkan Battle, it was probably during its first or second year, and I went, this game looks ugly as shit, I don't want to play this, and then I closed it and I never reopened. I went back to playing Epic 7. Epic 7 would have came out years later, and I went back to playing that. So I missed like the first 4 years of that game. Then I didn't really come back around until like the 8th year. My account, if I stuck through that, would be crazy versus my account now, where it's been a few years, so my account is good. It's better than a lot of free-to-play players' accounts, but it pales in comparison to having that like launch day access. This first year is not for everybody. I say that shit all the time. The first year of a gacha game is not for the faint of heart, and there is going to be a big a bit of letdown for people if they think they can play this game every single hour of every day without stopping, and it's not like a PvP game. So let's see, I get the fumble, but I believe they are mostly gacha fans instead of Bleach fans. We have waited a full decade for 2RBW. A few days of late on a character release means nothing in the grand scheme of things. It is evident that the majority of the player base are Bleach fans. Okay. If not, there won't be a huge margin of difference in the character investment. Most of my characters are B0B2 or B02B2 and scored similar to around 27,000, but the percentile rankings are wide. Spirit teams ranked at top 10%, while my others are 0.8 to 3%. It shows that Aizen and Ulk are majority of the players' favorites. Yeah, probably. Aizen, certainly. Aizen is probably by far the most invested in character. For free-to-plays, you could skip a character like my Yuri and grab an Aizen dupe, right? I think that was during his patch. Aizen came back during a supports patch, and I think a lot of people grabbed a dupe instead of grabbing one of the supports. So yeah. I think no matter what, it's disappointing. I mean, there are big Bleach fans, like people in the Discord, who love Bambietta. Bambietta is literally their favorite, like, waifu character. I'm not a waifu person or a husbando person, but that's their favorite waifu character. They want her so bad, they don't want to wait a few extra days, which is fair enough too. But ultimately, yeah, there are just a lot of people who are here because it's a fun free-to-play mobile game, and you can see that's wearing on them. I do think so. Compensation really sucks, even without considering the precedent set by Rangiku. But people acting like it's the worst thing ever is just a bit spoiled. I think we expect a bit too much. I do think this compensation is just the stopgap filler compensation, while they don't know how long it would take. If this is only 1 day delay, then giving huge compensation doesn't make sense. I think people got to chill. Yeah, I think the precedent, quote-unquote precedent set by Rangiku, a precedent to me is a few times a thing happens, not one time something happens and then, okay, it has to be like that forever. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. Don't mix my words up. People on the internet love to hear you say a statement and then be like, you said this other statement. Not what I said. Not what I said. Twitter arguer, Twitter fucking social media demon who loves doom scrolling. Not what I said. I don't think that Rangiku set a precedent. I think Rangiku was an example. But a precedent for me would need to be at least another time this happens or a third time this happens. That way it's like, okay, this is the material, like, consistent pattern. So while I do think that it's a low amount, I still think it's low. I wasn't expecting, you know, them to give us 5,000 Jade plus a B2 Bambi to compensate. I was expecting a little bit more, but it does tell me that maybe they don't expect this to take that long. So we'll see. Who knows? She could be out Monday. We really don't know. I still love the game no matter what happened because it's Bleach. Fair enough. I played Dokkan, and let me tell you, I would not play Dokkan if that game was not Dragon Ball. That game has had... I don't want to slam Dokkan too much, but great characters this year. But we are arguably in the worst content year of Dokkan that I've ever played. Because 8th year we had Omega Shenron. 9th year we had the Broly red zones and stuff, and then also the movie hero red zones and stuff like that. 10th year we had Festival and other stuff. And then, 10th year was a good content year. And then 11th year, silence. So I think this is literally the worst content year we've ever had. Bankai Ichigo should be normal. Gotcha, pull this point, 100%. The grind is super artificially inflated. There's a lot to do in the game if you have characters and they're developed. If you're new with no characters, nothing to do. Grind to get the new materials for the characters to make multiple teams in a week-long process due to the stamina. I have to summon for characters and their weapons. Being new hasn't had a chance to summon for many different characters. Yeah, this the worst part is the inability to summon for these characters, to access these characters. It's all a weekly rotation sort of thing. I've said this before. They should fix this by adding characters in the first week, second week, third week of banners. So first week you have a chance to get Mayuri. Second week you have a chance to get Kenpachi. Third week you have a chance to get Bankai Ichigo. Next character comes out. First week you get a chance to get Aizen. Second week, you know what I mean? Just rotate. No reason not to. Literally no reason not to. The only problem right now is lack of content in Jades. Like, holy hell, the updates are really small and rewards are minimum. I have to push back. The rewards aren't. I get maybe the content is, but if you're doing everything, we are making more a lot of times. Like this has been a pretty fruitful patch. And we just know that numerically. We just literally baseline, we know that numerically because of weeklies as well as the content itself. We just know that we need to know that numerically. Unless you're pulling for dupes or something. I want old units in standard gacha with the ability to select the SSR I roll for. That I agree with. Before the Okieta patch, I love the game. Since then, it's been very dry. Literally best mobile game out of hundreds I played. Mirror's High made me realize why Bandai want this game dead. They can't make a game to save their life. No, Mirror's High is cool, man. It'll get there. It'll get there. I've said this before. Mirror's High is a game that I'm interested in its anniversary, its second year, its third year. I'm going to play Mirror's High. I'm going to post about Mirror's High the entire time. But I will say that first year of Mirror's High, this is how it's going to go. Honeymoon phase, going to be amazing. It's going to be really fun. The third month, the fourth month, the fifth month, we're going to see people get a little upset because it's Bandai. We're going to see people get upset. And the whole time, I'm going to just be sitting there holding the line. Because guess what? In this game, in Bleach Soul Resonance, you can take a break. You could leave Bleach Soul Resonance right now. You could go into maintenance mode and only do your dailies and never do any events. And by the time you come back, you might be able to B6 a character because of the amount of rewards of like, okay, I'll log in, I'll do my dailies, I'll do my weeklies, I'll get compensation rewards, etc. for like 6 months. I'll wait until anniversary. You might be able to like B4 Vassal Lord Ichigo. That is not how that works in Japanese gacha. If you will not be able to take a 6-month break and have a good account. You're gonna have to treat it like work. You're gonna have to log in. You're gonna have to punch in on the clock, dude. So yeah, I do know why Mirror's High or Shueisha is kind of like glancing over at BSR and probably doing a little bit of corporate subterfuge, though not enough that it's only Shueisha's fault. It's not only Shueisha's fault, but Bandai is definitely sweating because I think that game is gonna get a little funny. It's a really nice game, and I am happy that a great title like Bleach finally have an accessible game. It's great for free-to-plays, the character releases are all fine, and they adapt to the anime pretty well. What's funny about this game is I've gotten more playtime and interest out of it than I did Sparking Zero, which I paid $80 fucking for or something, for an unfinished game. It is kind of funny how, like, even buying the monthly, I think at this point, in total, I've spent $20 on Bleach Soul Resonance throughout the course of buying the monthly once a month. And versus like $80 Sparking Zero game that was unfinished when it released. It adapts to anime pretty well. They fumble some stuff like making Grimjo not making Grimjo a transforming unit. Sadly, that was IP. And fumbling Zale by giving him like one ability of those he showed in the anime. That does suck, by the way. I think that's fair. But they are improving the animation quality. You love to see it. But I think the game is boring after week 1 of a unit release. And that may be a problem in the long run. Because there will be times when they are forced to release filler characters. And by that, I mean characters that aren't really liked. Brother, they did. Trust me, it was tough. You understand? Masculine? You don't like the mask? That's my goal. I love the mask. You understand my point. No, it's fine. He's right. They're right. In this case, even the first week ain't going to be interesting enough and people will just pull away from the game. Yeah, it's going to happen though. Ultimately, mobile games are just like that. They're going to filter players on and off based on hype. The reason they need to get a hold of their marketing is so they can get those players back, reel them back in when they release a Harabel or a Coyote Stark or a Yamamoto. Also, they need to improve communication with the community because right now it's dog shit. True. They also need to improve the SR plus units because from being total trash to at least comparable with units like Yoruichi at 1B6. Yeah, well, technically they are with Yoruichi. Like Grimjo is, but it's Elkieta sucked. SR plus Elkieta kind of sucked. It's very friendly to non-spending players, which is nice because you enjoy the game without killing an arm to enjoy it, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. True. Their marketing communication is the worst I've ever seen from a game. Yeah, probably. I think people always like, oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. You know, my mobile game never had delays or bugs. It's like, all right. But the marketing and communication is actually maybe the worst I've ever seen. DBL, One Piece Battle... What is it? Battle Royale or something? I can't remember what the thing... It's One Piece, though. Probably the most pay-to-win gacha games I've ever played. I'm not saying they are the most just my own. Fair. But when it comes to communication and marketing, they do it very well. Yeah, they just have a closer hand. They just have a closer relationship with the IP owner, which hopefully gets better with time, but at this point is really sad. The game is amazing. Ignore the spoiled brats. You're happy. Hey, come on. Come on. They have their own grievances that are fair. Best Bleach game and best PvE game I've seen for a while on mobile, and PvE is the way to go with gachas since PvP is necessarily pay to win. Yeah, I mean, I think I do like a PvP gacha. I loved Epic 7, but I think people's frustration right now, I would say that last week and the week before, people were agitated, but it was like, oh, they were gassing it a little bit. This week, people are getting out their frustration, and I think it's probably pretty fair. I think it's pretty fair. This is the most free-to-play gacha I've ever seen. You can basically pull on any character you want with their weapon, no dupes, if you constantly play the game, which is unheard of for a gacha game. True. Even games like Dokkan, which I've like never missed a day on outside of my vacation recently, in 4 years, or 3 years, I guess. 8, 9, 10, 11. I guess 12 would technically be 4 years, but I'm in my 4th year right now, I guess. Because I count the 8th year as a year spent. Yeah. Events are sometimes recycled and get repetitive, but are fun for the most part. I agree. I don't know if most people will agree, but I love those stupid point-and-click minigames with no combat. It's a nice change of pace. Fair. Those are fine to me. This game has a huge problem in terms of communication. Yep. YouTubers all the time who cover leaks. For a casual player who maybe doesn't watch YouTubers all the time who cover leaks, I imagine some of them get confused or just don't know who to pull at times. This is really true, man. This game needs an official English account that posts info early, or at least just communicates with its audience consistently, even if it gets pushback. I find that the official Discord is less useful than other YouTube Discords. They do not post leaks or share new info, so I am usually not looking at other Discords info. I also feel that the core stamps should be more accessible very fast. This is the first time anyone's brought up core stamps, which is shocking, but very true. Baseline chance should not start at 20%. I kind of agree. Overall, the game does have its lull periods where players are just waiting for new content with the game, but the fact that this is an actual IP gacha game with good rewards and very fun gameplay has me playing it no matter what happens. I love Bleach in this game. Does a great job. Did anyone else... is this like a multi? Oh, I haven't played PGR. Maybe it is very free-to-play friendly. But yeah, if you compare it to the big ones, I mean, PGR is like has its community, but this is like Punishing Gray Raven or whatever. But it's not even... The thing is... big IP games can afford to be generous because they have to beat out Dragon Ball Legends. They have to beat out Dokkan Battle. They have to beat out Naruto Mobile. They have to beat out these games, right? So there is sort of this thing where not only as a non-IP gacha are you competing with Hoyoverse, who do not have to be generous anymore because they are ruling the market. They also have to compete against the IP gacha, who have a baseline fan base because people love... Like, I'm going to play JoJo's Golden Spirit when it comes out in a few days, like a week or something like that, and it's unless it gets delayed. And it's because it's a JoJo game. Like, I'll be interested. I'm not usually one for like the auto, like idle gacha, but I like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I got into JoJo's at the start of this YouTube channel, essentially, like within the last like year or so, like within the last few years. So I'm excited for a JoJo anything. But yeah, it's comparing a non-IP gacha generosity to, which is like a game that is typically like trying to get by. Like, none of these games are Epic 7 a lot of times. Like, if you compare the honeymoon phase of Epic 7 to any other gacha game, I think you lose. Because the honeymoon of Epic 7 is like if they gave you like the newest like limited character that's also like top 5 in Dragon Ball Legends. That's like the honeymoon period of Epic 7. And then not only do they do that, they give you like 4 of them. Like, so, but again, it's a non-IP gacha. So it's like they have to, because they're competing against these games that have a grounded fan base. Like, people are going to show up for Bleach, people are going to show up for Dragon Ball, people are going to show up for One Piece, but people might not show up for Epic 7 despite it giving you everything in the world when you make an account. And it's because they don't know about it. They have no interest in a thing that they have no like emotional resonance with, right? I might have to change my Google review from the best gacha on the market to just one of the best gachas on the market. That 0.5 of star is all to pay for. In all other regards, this game is good. Scalable compensation for a delayed 5-star isn't amazing, but it's not the worst either. Could have put a standard ticket on there just to keep the pull bugs away. There's a critique to be had. Its communication being quite bad. Yeah, this is all really fair, by the way. I think if you wanted to change your review from being like, oh, this is like the best game I've ever played, to like one of, that's like really fair, because they have been messing up this in the last few weeks. The game is good before Dami was delayed. It'll be good while she's delayed, and it'll be good after she releases. Yeah, I agree. My opinion might change if we are still waiting for more than a week, but right now, community needs to chill a bit. Yeah, it's probably we're probably gassing it a little bit. Again, these things happen, but people should get their emotions out. You know, people should get their emotions out. But remember, if you do not like the content cycle of a gacha game that hasn't been out for 10 years, that isn't a non-IP gacha, and like, you should take a break. You probably are not enjoying yourself, and you shouldn't force yourself to play games. You should play games because you enjoy them. Complaining about them won't really change that. If you want a fight worth having to go look for what PlayStation are doing, the concept of ownership. Oh yeah. Oh man. That digital stuff is crazy. I did see that, like, I think it was like Rhyme Style, or maybe it was C-Reacts or something. Maybe it was C-Reacts, but I saw someone post that they're gonna have to stick to Nintendo after what PlayStation has done, and I was like, Nintendo is like the pioneer of all these like traditions, dude. It's funny that Nintendo, being the wholesome Chungus like company, means they'd never take any flack, because like they literally were selling people empty cartridges and being like, the game's on there, I promise. Overall, I think the game is doing good. It's fun to log in every day, and it's performing how we'd expect, and any talks about EOS is just pure fear-mongering. This is true. I mean, like I said, you don't buy a contract to make a game for years, and then you're like, oh, we're just going to shut down. They're going to make this until that runs out, and if they renew that contract, hey, we'll see. But, come on. I do have a personal graph with these new Quincy's releasing, and them pretty much confirming to be a new typing. I really don't think the game needs a new typing right now, even if they are universal, because we still have old units like Nellel and Aizen that need to be replaced, because I really hate the rotations. Fair? Especially Ichigo, those rotations feel horrible to play, so I'd much rather we gotten something. Yeah, I feel like the new typing would have been much better suited for first Annie, or when BSR finishes characters from earlier arcs. Still have a lot of love regardless. Yeah, I think the new typing thing... I know they get this information at least a few months in advance, but given that they didn't finish Bambi on time, a part of me does wonder how aware of the new typing they were. Like, I wonder if they knew they were going to do TYBW and maybe do a new typing later, but maybe they thought it was going to take longer to be able to do that stuff. I don't know. Very odd. I uninstall, will probably come back for the anniversary, but it's been too boring recently. I mean, fair. This is exactly what people should do, by the way. This is... blow headaches. Whoa. Like, this person is so reasonable. You know, they don't need a huge diatribe about how it's the worst game ever and, like, new versus fucking their wife. It's just that easy, man. These are mobile games. If you're not enjoying yourself, these are games. If you're not enjoying yourself and playing a video game, you gotta stop. It's fine. It's chill. Like, dude, it's chill. The game feels super fulfilling, to be honest. As someone who plays in free time daily, it's a really good game. Content can be done and over in a limited time. The only thing I would, as devs, is more co-op modes to play with friends. Jade is not a problem at all with free-to-play. I've gotten every character since release. Nell and Trushikai Ichigo are B2 because I like the thrust team from the beginning. And others is B1 as well with 27k Jades. You've gotten a little lucky. Oh my god. Even after B2, W2, 2S, Ichigo. The only letdown for me is the stuck in the wall glitch that... Yes, dude. Yes. Get me out of the wall, man. I'm a massive fan of Bleach, so I love the game. 5th anniversary BBS player as well. So they've got about 6 years on. I hope Shueisha helps the game reach better heights instead of limiting its progress all. Big fan. Hey, appreciate you, gang. Appreciate you. I don't know why I threw up the B's, by the way. I meant like club, but like I guess I'm blood now. What am I thinking? Yeah, I think this is all really fair. Again, like I said, not everyone is like a Discord diehard who's like talking about the game constantly. A lot of people are just playing casually. They just want to see their favorite characters in the game they like. The Uchiha. I think it's the best looking IP anime game I've played on mobile. A lot of effort and love. Definitely more love than that shitty console Bleach game. But it is very repetitive, fair. As in more repetitive than Phantom Parade and Grand Order. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think that... I do think... Phantom Parade has a big issue with releasing its content right now, I think. Excuse me, one sec. Sorry, I was eating cereal before this. Stuck in my... Got a little airy in my throat. Brave Souls has a really bad burnout issue too because it's so easy. The game doesn't have enough character. This game doesn't have enough character. It's hard carried by its presentation. The fact that it's a pretty generous gacha. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I think I'd say though is like, I remember someone said, Tobey Maguire isn't a good Spider-Man. He's just carried by a good script. And that's also how I kind of feel about sometimes when people say like, presentation is hard carrying this game or generosity is hard carrying this game. And it's like, yeah. But, like, that's a really big factor in mobile games. Like, we can't, like... A game can have the best content in the world. A PvP game like Dragon Ball Legends can have a really fun gameplay loop. But guess what? If you can't pull characters and the presentation isn't good, I'm getting out of there. Absolutely disappointed, especially compared to when Rangiku got delayed. Fair. Compensation is BS. Fair. We as a community have to stop blaming Shueisha for all the bad things happening in this game. All that is true. There is something. There's a lot to blame Shueisha over, but yes, all is crazy. They does have a massive hand to play with the current state and their lack of transparency makes it seem as they are incompetent. The Mayuri buff is technically a nerf, as the maximum damage from perfect RNG cannot be achieved with an alternating pattern technique. This cycle of apologizing, maintaining the same behavior has to change. Otherwise, it's hard to see this game living much longer. It will live much longer. About 2 years. I will say that. That is I mean, I have to assume that. You don't buy an IP and then stop, you know, because you've already spent money. You can't get that money back. They're not going to give you that money back. But yeah, it's it does suck. I think lack of transparency is still the biggest issue. The communal part, the blaming Shueisha, it's more so that people need to know when something is on Shueisha and when something is relegated to like a BSR issue. There are issues in BSR right now that are purely BSR issues and have nothing to do with Shueisha, like communication. Day one player, and I started the game when it came. Oh, we're almost done. Day one player, and I started the game when it first came out, and all I can say is I love the game. True, cool. Yes, I know there are some issues with bugs on the characters or the marketing problems, and most of all Shueisha, but still looking past that, I think this game is the best Bleach game to have come out, both either console, mobile, or PC. I love the game, and yeah, I'm a diehard Bleach fan. My second favorite anime besides Naruto. Bro, Naruto Soul Resonance will go crazy. Yeah, I mean, not much to say. I think, you know, there are issues in Bleach Soul Resonance for sure, but it still, weirdly enough, does rank very highly in the outer, like, pantheon, in the greater pantheon of, like, Bleach games, because Bleach has not had a great game run. Most IPs don't actually have great game runs, sadly. One of my major issues with BSR has always been gameplay. The dodge and movement animations are very clunky. Mechanically, the dodge outside of flash step has been awful since release, and they're never addressed it. If you dodge perfectly, you still get hit. Dodges are also very useless outside of a few characters like Gin. In Wuwa, dodges will start your attack on third mouse one, so you get more DPS. And Concerto, BSR could have at least implemented that, so the gameplay would require more skill. I would like a character to release in BSR that has the Ellen Joe, what is it, the shark girl from ZZZ, where you have to dodge in the middle and then you get like to go into like the scissors. I think stuff like that's cool. Rotation gameplay is the most basic thing that makes games way more repetitive, and BSR's majority horribly designed bosses don't help either. There are a few good ones like White Ichigo, but even then they don't handle canon to Wuwa's 1.0 bosses. That's fair enough. Wuwa's also been out for years, right? I mean, 1.0, I guess it means like the base game. Yeah, those games are also much more expensive to make and are sort of like in a more free-form environment, but I mean, it's fair enough. It's hard to compare. I find it hard to compare anything to like Wuwa and PG and like ZZZ and stuff like that, and Genshin, because what do I want to say? They're kind of like an unattainable like benchmark for most IP games. Like, you could essentially say that every IP game is worse than Wuwa or Genshin or ZZZ, right? I mean, you could. It would be nice if they weren't, but there is something about because IP games have to pay for the IP, I think they do get less development time, less chance at development time as well. So a lot of IP games tend to take a longer time to develop into these things, which does suck. And you don't have to play a game like BSR, you know, if you are bored. But I do sort of have a hard time comparing IP gacha games directly to non-IP games, because there is a greater overhang. I mean, they said it with Bleach Soul, the TS Ichigo. They literally paid for things that they could not end up using for True Shikai Ichigo. And that money doesn't come back, I don't believe. And they have to pay that money. So, it does suck. Again, it goes back to like, you know, the BSR is heavily carried by Generosity Animations IP. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, that Generosity Animations and IP, that's like the Powerpuff Girls mixing pot of an IP gacha for its first year. What is it with Dokkan? Dokkan didn't actually get good content until like year 4. When was Red Zone? Apparently Dokkan players were literally playing like in the awakening mode. Like, the way you would test content is that you would take your new character into the metal awakening mode. So essentially like the place where you would farm metals, like, for years. So it's like, I mean, yeah, I get it. I do get it, but also, it's not surprising. It's like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like saying, it's not really unique to BSR. It's just kind of obvious to the condition of IP gacha, sadly. It's a lot of money spent that they can't put into just making better content, sadly. And it sucks. It does suck. Disappointed, that's it. Fair as hell. Sorry, I thought that was gonna... I thought maybe we couldn't see the bottom if I showed unless I showed less, but it seems fine. Yeah, fair enough. I like it a lot. It has cool visuals and gameplay and is very generous if you don't want to spend much money, and I love Bleach. Yeah, fair enough. Did they post anything else here? Facts, twin. Yeah. But that's gonna do it. A big video here, over an hour long, yapping. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of that. We did get some venting out, you know, people said some disappointment, some venting. I hope that is a little cathartic for you. I hope you guys did not mind my that I wasn't like in here just like flame warring Bleach Soul Resonance. I think, as we can see, the greater Bleach Soul Resonance, like average, you know, common man, does just want to enjoy the game casually, is fine with a lot of the decisions being made. Not everything is an echo chamber of negativity, but it doesn't mean that we need an echo chamber of positivity either. There are people out there who play the game casually, who enjoy it, but just want these things fixed. And I think that is the reality for all of us, is it not? If you made it to the end of this video, I would like to thank you, because it's been a long ride, but the reality is that the common Bleach Soul Resonance player wants more communication, more open communication, and doesn't mind a hiccup here or there, so long as they are getting access to an honest development team, right? So I've been alone though. It's been a long time. I gotta stand up and stretch my legs, dude. I've been sitting here for an hour. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the club. We'll go make it, and peace.